Journalism and Communications. You're watching WUFT News at 6.
Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush announced today that he will actively explore a presidential run in 2016. Good evening. It's Tuesday, December 16th. I'm Zach Dahlheimer.
And I'm Leanna Scacchetti. Thanks for joining us. The son and brother of former presidents released the announcement on his Facebook page saying he decided to take the step after discussions with his family over Thanksgiving. Bush will establish a fundraising PAC in January. It's not an official declaration that he'll run for president, but it allows Bush to begin raising money and funnel donations to other candidates. And it's a big signal to donors and other potential candidates that Bush is getting more serious about a run, following weeks of increased speculation that he may mount a campaign. Just yesterday, Bush gave the winter commencement address at the University of South Carolina.
And I can tell you from personal experience, if your parents worked in politics, well, you know the rest. Don't be depressed by this, because you don't have to follow the pattern.
A November NBC News Wall Street Journal poll of registered voters shows that Bush was viewed positively by 26% of those surveyed, while 33% viewed him negatively.
A veteran Pasco County deputy is off the job after he accidentally left an inmate in a courthouse holding cell overnight, forgetting to take him to the jail. Chip Osowski has more on how the situation is being handled.
After being sentenced to 30 days on a DUI charge, Larry Moulton was escorted back to a holding cell at the West Pasco Judicial Center, and that's where he remained for hours, forgotten. Matthew Kindle represents Moulton.
When someone's in jail, they're going to have access to a bathroom. They're going to have 2-3 meals a day. They're going to have access to water. Now, Mr. Moulton was in a holding cell, and he didn't know when he was going to have access to those things.
When Moulton's fiancée noticed he hadn't been booked into the jail, she frantically called the sheriff's office, which began its investigation.
He was never on our logs at the jail, so that's why there was a discrepancy. We go back, we found out that one of our members failed policy. He failed to do what he was supposed to do. He's no longer with the agency.
I caught up with Sheriff Chris Nacco while training at the gun range. He promises this is an isolated incident that won't happen again. What is your reaction to this happening under your watch? You have to be outraged.
Yeah, we take full responsibility for our actions. We're not going to hide from the fact this occurred. Our members are going to learn from it. Those that should be held accountable were held accountable for those actions, but it's one of those things. This is law enforcement. Bad things happen, you take responsibility for them, and you move forward.
Moulton is back at the Land O'Lakes jail serving out his sentence. His attorney hopes, in light of what happened, he'll be able to get that sentence reduced.
Deputy Clegg worked for the sheriff's office for more than 2 decades, and he says that he promises it will never happen again.
The body found in the Ocklawaha River on Sunday has been identified. Forensics confirmed it was Franklin Wayne Silcox Jr. Silcox was originally reported missing after he left his home to go for a walk and never returned. Deputies were contacted when a boater found a body matching Silcox's description in the river. Deputies retrieved the body, and the medical examiner ruled the death an accidental drowning.
Well, the holidays are often a time of celebration and reflection.
Yeah, and for one Gainesville man, this year is exceptional. He will also be celebrating a unique milestone, his 100th birthday. WUFT's Virginia Hamrick spent the day with Cliff Fox, who turned 100. And Virginia, what did he say has changed over this last century that he's lived?
Well, he said he's seen the most change in the work ethic in America. Fox credits the Marine Corps for fostering his discipline and drive that many of his friends say have led to his 100 years.
86 years ago, Cliff Fox went to great lengths to make himself seem older.
I changed my birth certificate when I was 14. I changed it to 16. And then I could get my license and go to work.
Over the past 9 decades, Fox has maintained this work ethic. He joined the Marines for a job and a chance to see the world.
My history and geography books were like storybooks to me. I said, and I always wanted to go to China for some reason. I said, so I thought the only way I could get there would be to go in the Marine Corps.
When he returned, Fox continued to work, sometimes holding 2 jobs at once. He built his house, from designing the blueprint to laying the foundation. Fellow church members reiterate his drive.
Cliff's kind of been an anchor around here for a long, long time. There are folks who just know all the things he's done here and remember how he has been an integral part of this church, including much of the building that goes on here.
Cliff is still an active member in the congregation here at First Christian Church of Gainesville, where he's been recognized as Elder Emeritus and Layman of the Year in 2008. Congregation members honor him for his sense of humor and his dedication to the church. In between building and working, Fox has continued to make time for exploring, from sailing the Atlantic coast to traveling cross-country.
RV'd all over this country. We've been in every state several times, Alaska and Mexico, Canada, both sides up.
To this day, he still travels Gainesville on his motorbike.
Love that at 99 he's riding his motorcycle to church.
From the time he sailed to China with the Marines to road tripping across the country, he never stopped exploring. He has a century worth of adventures and hopes to have more.
And there's nothing that I regret that I did or that I would do any different. I mean, I was glad to be into so many different things.
Fox is a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. He plans to celebrate his 100th birthday with his children.
All right, Virginia, thank you. We'll make it 7 in a row, 7 mornings with temperatures below the 40-degree mark.
Yeah, not only that, but there's a cold front right on our doorstep. We'll turn it over to UF forecaster Sean Bellafury and the Weather Center tracking the front. Sean, with the cold front coming in, will tonight make it an 8th night in a row?
Leanna, actually no. Our streak of 7 straight mornings has officially ended, but certainly what an impressive streak that it was. Check it out. The past 7 mornings were even down below 30 on December 13th. Yeah, certainly a cold few days here in north central Florida. But Leanna, like you said, this cold front, it's right on our doorstep, making its way close to us here in North Florida right now. And this front will push through over the next few hours, increasing our cloud cover and keeping a strong wind out of the southwest. So even though we have a cold front coming through, the cloud cover and the increase in winds will help to keep our temperatures a little bit higher than they've been the past few nights. Tonight's low temperature right around 46 degrees in Gainesville, 43 in Lake City, and 47 degrees in Ocala. We are going to have a few showers though later this week with our next storm system coming up in my main weather forecast. I'll let you know when those arrive. Zach, Leanna, back to you.
All right, Sean, thank you. Well, we don't always need to do extraordinary things to help other people. Sometimes all it takes is some fabric and some scissors. WUFT's Carla Byron reports on how one local woman's hobby is helping society in a unique way.
It was like a blink of an eye, you know.
At 17 years old, Pat from Williston signed up for the military.
My parents are going through a divorce, and I figured if I was going to get yelled and screamed at, I may as well get paid for it.
She spent 25 years serving and protecting the United States.
You can take the girl out of the military, but you can't take the military out of the girl.
During her service, Pat fell in love with a fellow airman and got married. Just last year, she moved down to sunny Florida, and there's one thing that's been on her bucket list: learning how to sew.
Actually, when I bought my machine, it sat for about a year before I did anything with it. I was scared of it.
Now Pat has no fear. The salt, pepper, and napkins on her dining table were placed with pincushions, fabric, and a sewing machine. But sewing in silence isn't her style. She prefers to sew and rock out to tunes from the 1950s.
5 inches wide. This is my first one.
Every 4th Wednesday of the month, Pat meets with a group of ladies known as the Gainesville Sewing Circle. It's a local group that's part of the American Sewing Guild, a national nonprofit organization.
If you like to sew or have an interest, we help you out.
The ladies share creations, ideas, and lots of laughs.
Short meetings then, why not?
For the group, giving back to society is very important.
We've done pillowcases for ConCare, where they do pillowcases for cancer patients. We've done breast cancer pillows.
This year, the Sewing Circle is making little tiny angel gowns and donating them to UF Shands Hospital. The tiny gowns are made for babies that pass away in the hospital, but parents can keep these gowns so that they can still have something to remember them by. After taking care of the elderly in nursing homes for many years, Pat joined the Gainesville Sewing Circle so she could put a smile on patients' faces and give them a piece of home.
Sometimes family members kind of just drop them off there and walk away, and they don't have anything. I wouldn't want to be like that. You know, I wouldn't want to be left there with nothing.
Pillowcases and quilts are some of the items Pat sews and donates to local assisted living facilities.
There's nothing I can do to make them better, you know, in a long-term care facility. But if I can do something to make them feel better, absolutely.
Pat's husband says his wife truly has a servant's heart.
She's also had a heart for the elderly, and you know, that's what she's been called to do in her nursing career, but also this is also an outlet for that.
Pat isn't giving up her hobby anytime soon. She'll continue to sew to brighten someone else's day, even if it's just for a little while. Carla Byron, WUFT News. If learning how to sew is on your bucket list too, and you're interested in joining the Gainesville Sewing Circle, you can visit asgocalachapter.org to learn more about the organization.
Well, there's still more to come on WUFT News at 6. Coming up, authorities in Pennsylvania have found a body in a wooded area near the home of Bradley Stone. This man wanted in connection with the death of his ex-wife and 5 members of her family.
Plus, the latest on the assault by Taliban terrorists in a school in Pakistan that killed more than 130 students. WUFT News is back in 90 seconds.